Awesome. All right, we have Doug in here today. Thank you so much for coming out and playing some music for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So
man.
awesome. You did a great job,
Yeah,
man.
thank you.
Really
Thank
cool.
you.
So, like I said, we're starting up the studio right now. We're getting a lot of stuff out for artists, supporting local artists that are bigger, of course.
Yeah.
But like I was telling you a little bit before, no one really did this stuff for us when we were playing. So now it's like, let's spread the love. Let's make it happen and give artists a voice, that they don't have online or wherever it is, right? So, but yeah, we our paths crossed, I don't know, years ago at some point, and we haven't seen each other since. But we knew each other from OCML, which I think they just changed it to like TML.
Yeah, I think they're just the Music League. I think what happened, from what I heard from John, was somebody hacked all of their accounts or something like that.
Oh man, yeah.
But I think also they're expanding, like they're doing San Diego and they're doing LA, and so the name OCML doesn't really apply anymore if they're outside of Orange County. But I think that was part of it, was just a rebranding thing for them, probably. But yeah, John's awesome.
I know, they're totally awesome, and I love everything that he stands for too. We were talking about this too, like just the pay to plays, and he was really big on, still is really big on just ending that, supporting artists and just getting them out there, and that's something that I, through that connection, I was able to meet you. Brought you in here, did all that, and your band's name is Dreams of Vertigo, right?
Dreams of Vertigo.
Is there a story behind that, or was it just something that sounded cool? And
so yes and no. I mean, there's definitely a story. The kind of long story short is, I started the band 10 years ago, believe it or not. And in 2010, I was in a really bad car accident. And I was going through a really bad breakup. I was having this really, bad fight with my best friend. My parents were moving to another state. It was just like all of this stuff was kind of happening.
Yeah.
And I kept having these things where it's like I would be asleep and just like, I don't know, sometimes it happens when you're in school where you're just like, you're kind of like half asleep and you go, and it kind of wakes yourself up, right? So I've always kind of been fascinated with dreams, like what do they mean? Like nobody really knows, right? Like why did I dream about a baby gorilla running down PCA? You know what I mean? Like whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so I just, I did a little bit of research in it, and they said that there's these things called vertigo dreams. Okay. Vertigo dreams are basically things that happen when your mind is under a tremendous amount of stress, right? And so fast forward to, I was working security at a venue in Orange County.
Okay.
And we're working up on the roof, just, doing a perimeter thing or whatever. And I looked down, and we were just looking straight down from the roof, me and my coworker. I was just talking about music and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? It'd be a really cool name for a band, Dreams of Vertigo. He's like, yeah, that'd be a cool name. I was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then like literally the very next day. And then one of the other things that was kind of going on in my world was music's always been an outlet for me. No matter what I'm going through, you always have music.
Yep.
And I had just gotten out of a band that I was in. And, the two guitarists were butting heads, and we were getting drummers that were coming in and out. It just was not working out. I was like, I'm done.
That's what happens with bands a lot. You have multiple, minds, multiple, people.
It's a marriage.
Exactly.
Really.
Exactly.
So yeah, honestly, I just came up with the name Dreams of Vertigo, and everybody I talked to was like, that'd be a cool name for a band. And it just kind of stuck.
There you go.
It's been like that since.
Heck yeah. So let's go back a little bit more, how you got your start in music. For me, I got my first guitar at 13, and I've just been riding it ever since. Like that was it. So what about you? What's a little bit of your story getting into it?
My parents would probably tell a different story, but like I got my first guitar when I was 12.
Okay.
My cousin is very involved in the music industry. He bought a studio in Orange County. Oh, geez, I was probably about 12.
Okay.
And he taught me everything about, recording bands, producing, mixing, like the whole thing. I mean, I was 12, so, how much.
As much as your brain was.
And of course, it's all different now.
Yeah.
But I think what really kind of happened was my parents probably kind of understood that I was had a musical heart. At the time, I played sports.
Okay.
Still love sports, but I'm short and uncoordinated. So on my 12th birthday, I got a guitar. I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I can be short and uncoordinated and do this. Yep. And honestly, I haven't looked back.
I was just going to say, that sounds like an album name right there. You can totally
short and uncoordinated.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
You know, and honestly, I feel like people are born to do certain things, right? Like, could you imagine a guy like Mike Trout being your tax guy? You know what I mean? Like, he might be good at taxes, but he's a lot better at baseball. You know 100%. What I mean? So,
yeah.
And I think, you know, music is one of those things too. Like, people are just born to do music. They're just naturally, I mean, you know, you can learn scales and you can learn how to solo, you can learn to drum, you know, obviously you can learn all that stuff, but it's like, I think somebody that can naturally write a song, like writing a song is an art. Yeah. You know what I mean?
100%.
I'm not going to write a solo. I can sing a solo to you, but I can write a song like that. You know, give me a guitar, I'll write a song like that. And so I think for me, it was always like, that was just natural. Music was like the only natural thing for me. And it was a nice escape from all of the stuff that was going on in the world for me. So
yeah. No, that's really good. And that kind of brought up, are you a reader at all, or do you?
I mean, like as in a music reader or just like a reader in general?
Just in general, books and all.
You know, not as much as I should.
Okay.
But I honestly know, I think probably in the beginning of COVID, it was like, I mean, you know how we all were. It was like, what do we do? Like, I can't go to Starbucks every single day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So no, honestly, I started to get into reading. I started to get into like more creative things too. Like, what can I do to pass the time for the next 3 years?
No, I get it. The reason I brought that up was because just hearing you talk about how people are just have that gift when they're born, you know, and I fully believe that. But there's a author called Mitch Albom, and he's famously known for the 5 people you meet in heaven. But he wrote another book called The 5 Strings or the Magic Strings of Frankie Presto. And it is phenomenal. He talks about that. And so the book is actually narrated by music itself.
Nice.
And it just follows this one guy, and his strings have, it's a really good book. So if you're
totally checking that out.
Yeah, it's a really good one. So that's why I was asking. It's definitely a good one. And it really ties into that a lot. It was just, some people are just born that way. And that's something I always tell people too. Like, I was very talented. And I'm not saying that in like a braggadocious way. That's what I was. And because of that, I didn't work as hard as I could have.
Gotcha.
In the music, you know, scene in that realm. And so I'm sure, like, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are very talented and aren't working that hard and very hardworking and, you know, aren't that talented. It goes all different ways, right?
So I've always been of the mentality. I was just telling somebody this on Facebook yesterday. Like, it sounds really mean to say this, but like, always be the least talented person in the room. And what I mean by that is, if you're in a room with people that a guy that's a better guitarist than you, or a better drummer than you, a better songwriter, whatever it is in any field, right? And you can apply it to any field. It pushes you to be a better fill in the blank. You know what I mean? So like for me, I've always been in bands with, like our original drummer he could give Travis Barker a run for his money. He's that damn good.
Hey, if that ever happens, bring him in here.
We'll
make that happen.
But that's always been my mentality. Like, I've always been surrounded by people that I'm like, this guy's way better than me. Yeah. But it's like, well, how can I become a better whatever to at least feel like I belong in the same room as him? You know what I mean? And for me, it always pushes me to be a better person, to be a better songwriter, to be a better guitar player, whatever it is, you know? And I've always lived by that mentality. Always be the least talented person in the room, and you will push yourself harder. Because like you just said, like, there may be a better guitar player in the same room as you, but he might not have that same drive. Yeah. He might not he might not be able to write a song, you know? So,
yeah. And that's what I like about the music community the most, is like, everyone's learning from each other.
Exactly.
Right. And there's other communities out there, but specifically the music community, right? Like, even though I was in the punk rock scene, and, you know, we were at some dirty, grungy places, some of the nicest, friendliest people I've ever hung out with, met. There's no scarcity really, other than money. When you're hanging out with a hungry punk rocker, run.
Exactly.
So you played Typical in here earlier, and it sounded so cool.
Oh, thank you.
Super cool. And I know, is there a story behind that song in particular, or?
Yeah, Typical was one of those songs that I actually started that riff, the dun, 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 it sounds a lot different full band. When I wasn't doing things as a solo artist, and it was kind of like one of the last riffs that I brought to the band, but it was like I knew nothing was going to come of it because at that time I knew, our drummer Brandon was getting married, he was going to have a kid, our Gons was moving to North Carolina, you know what I mean? It was just like the whole thing. So it was really more of like we did it like as an intro song before we all came on stage type of thing. And then when the guys left, I just kind of put it aside, and whenever I picked up guitar, I would just right. And then I got the opportunity to work with my buddy Adrian from Assuming We Survive, and now he's the guitar player for Mest, and he's also the new singer for Zebrahead.
Oh, heck yeah.
So he's been a good friend of mine for so long. He's like, if anybody ever gets the opportunity to meet him, he's the nicest guy in the world. Oh, yeah. And just as a stroke of luck, I asked him, hey, do you want to sing on this song? So we got in the studio and we wrote this song, and it was literally like January 2020 was when we wrote it.
Oh, wow.
And, with everything that happened with COVID, I didn't actually release it until that summer. And, but really it's that song that's about being, in a toxic relationship with whoever it is. And, finally having that courage to run away from the situation, get yourself, not really run away, but get out of that situation and do what's best for yourself in the end. And, I kind of feel like it applied to everything that was going on in COVID, because it was just like, especially with all the politics, it's like everybody was against each other. And it's one of those songs where it's like, you need to do what's best for yourself. You need to take care of yourself. You need to, just take care of your body. Yeah. And it kind of applied. And so I did a music video where it was just, it's kind of a joke, but it was like me stuck in quarantine at my house with nothing to do. And I did like the Snapchat filters with it and stuff like that. So yeah, that's awesome. Definitely one of my favorite songs to play.
Heck yeah. And that's also another thing too, when, like when the plane's going down, right. Or anything like that. They always say, put on your oxygen mask first. Yeah. Before you help anyone else and all that stuff. Because if there's something going on, you got to help yourself first. Yeah. And then you have the freedom to help other people. So that's really cool that you wrote that about that. And then your second song, you said you were fortunate enough to write that with
Mike Carrera. Yeah. That was, honestly, that was a dream come true. My, one of my really good friends, Heather, she used to do all of the, like the MySpace flyers for this is totally dating me. Yeah. The MySpace flyers for Mike Carrera, for like his solo project and in Tumbledown, he has like a country band. Cool. And then I think she did some of the stuff for MXPX, but anyways, I don't know how she got connected with Mike, but I've been really good friends with her. And so I wrote this song, Head versus Heart. And one day I think I was just hanging out with her. I was like, it'd be cool as if Mike Herrera sang on this song. It's just totally like, it'd be great if Billy Joe from Green Day came on. Right. Like that would be great, but it's never going to happen, that type of thing.
You rang?
Yeah. And so she's like, I know you're joking, but I can give you his contact information. And so I emailed him and I sent him the demo of the song, and he was just blown away, which was, to me, was like, holy crap. Like a dude like Mike Herrera loved a song that I wrote. It's just like, pinch me moment. So, so we were able to get him to sing the second verse, and then he sings a bunch of the harmonies on it.
Heck yeah.
And that was just holy crap. Like I still, every time I hear that song, it comes on my Spotify, like the second verse comes up, I make sure I turn it up.
There you go. You're like, yes,
it's so cool.
For me, I would absolutely lose my crap if Tom DeLonge did anything with me. I would be like, I don't even think I could be in the same room.
Yeah.
I would I'd be a little fangirl. That's a legend. Honestly, I'd be like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's really cool that you had the opportunity. And that's another point that I want to touch on too, is like, you gotta like say these things, right? You if you have a goal or whatever it is, you gotta say it. Right. You never know who knows someone. You never know, whatever it may be, but you gotta go for it and work towards it.
Yeah.
Right. So like maybe it was just like it'd be cool if this, but if you didn't say anything,
that probably wouldn't happen. And, honestly, that's one of the other things I've learned with my music is I've always been, not to bring the room down, but I've always been the guy I've always suffered with depression and mental health and stuff like that. And it was something that I always just kind of buried deep. And then you realize as a musician, as a songwriter, as an artist, like you have an outlet.
Yeah.
Like somebody told me, like you have an outlet. You can speak to people, and Joe Blow that works at Starbucks cannot.
Yeah.
He could say something, but not as many people are going to listen, and so I've always, the last few years, I've always been very kind of outspoken about like the importance of mental health, especially with everything that's been going on the last couple of years. It's like people need to know that they're not alone, and everybody suffers from some sort of mental health or depression or whatever it is, so it's,
and just remember that you're not like a burden when you talk about it.
Right.
You're not, and yes, everyone's going through other stuff.
Yeah.
But like, that doesn't mean that, you're not either, and you can't, talk to someone. So I think that's very honorable that a lot of your songs, they might be like moody or bringing it down, but it's like, you're speaking into the hearts of other people. And that's a good point.
Being honest.
Yeah. To say to other artists too, even if you're like, I don't know if I like this song, whatever.
Yeah.
Like put it out there. You never know who it's going to affect in a positive way, So yeah.
Always goes back to Chester with me, Chester Bennington. It's like, I don't know if you saw that last interview with him right before he died, where it was like Kiss FM or something like that he was on. And he was just like, he's pouring his heart out to the DJ. He's like, I'm not okay. Yeah. This brain in here is not okay. And the DJ's sitting there and he's laughing at him. Oh. And it's like, that was his last plea. Like, I need help. Somebody help me, and think about how many, whether you like Linkin Park or not, it's like he helped literally millions of people, and so you gotta, it's hard to talk about that stuff, especially as a guy. I mean, you don't want to talk about, oh, I'm depressed, I don't feel good today. You know what I mean? But like as an artist, it's like, I don't feel like you're obligated to do it, but it's like like I said, you have an outlet that a lot of other people, Jane that's working at the office, she doesn't have that outlet. You know what I mean? So use it. There's times,
we're running a business. We got a lot of different things going on. And there's some times where I just look at Jaden, my business partner. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go on a walk right now. Yeah. Or sometimes I always joke with him because Guitar Center is far from here. Yeah. So I'm like,
back to Guitar Center.
You want to go to Guitar Center? He's like, there's so much work to get done. I was like, let's go to Guitar Center. Yeah. So instead, we just brought a couple of guitars in. So, there you go. So if my door's shut and I'm playing some guitar, it's like, okay, that's that. But
good Guitar Center.
Encourage like those types of work environments, right? Like whether you have a business or you're working from home or whatever, just like take that time to like get up. If you're feeling stressed, take a walk. Yeah. Don't bring your phone with you. Bring your watch if that's connected to you. I don't know, something. But like, do something,
do something.
So
do something.
For us, luckily it's playing music. So I really like that. And thank you for coming on and sitting down and doing this, allowing us to, be a studio space for you to open up your heart and sing some songs for us. I really appreciate it.
Honestly, like, thank you for having me. It's amazing. Doing things as a solo artist, it's a different world.
Yeah, most definitely. So real quick though, I do want to say, if there's anywhere people can find your music, just let them know right now. This is the spot.
Yeah. So, really, I'm on all the social medias. Instagram and TikTok are probably the ones that I'm on most. There is a Twitter, but I don't know the login. So if I don't message you back, that's probably why.
Well, this is your time to post on his Instagram feed and all that, all the Twitter posts that you've been.
Exactly. just the screenshots. This guy never returns my messages. But yeah, just at Dreams of Vertigo, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram are the ones that I'm on. YouTube, obviously, youtube.com/Dreams of Vertigo. So.
And no matter how you're consuming this podcast, whether it's the audio version or the video, all the links are in the description below.
Absolutely.
One click away and you can go and support an amazing artist. So thanks again, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.